Good evening, my friends, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show that is dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back here on a Sunday night to do another Ben's album challenge. It's going to be a little bit late tonight. Had a couple of things to do that took longer than I thought, but nevertheless it will come out within the next half hour. Not a very long video this will be. We are here to talk about, for those of you who are unsure of what this is, we do once a week. My friend Ben gives me a album that of his own selection, and I review the album and talk about the songs on the album, and I usually give him my favorite song of the album too. It's a request that he made, and I try to honor that. So he's given me a very interesting album this week. I would say this is one of the better albums we've done on this show because it's different. You know, it's a progressive album, no doubt about it, but perhaps it's a progressive, maybe not so much a progressive rock album as perhaps a progressive folk album. Both elements here, definitely both elements here. So first of all, the band is called Harmonium. The album is Sion Avait, Besoin, Besoin un Cinguiereme Saison. I think that's how you say it. I probably really screwed that up. I'm not particularly good with speaking French as much as I can understand it a little bit more. So this album, this band comes from Quebec, the province of Quebec in Canada. For those of you out there may pronounce it Quebec. When I was a kid I pronounced it Quebec, but over time it's evolved into Quebec. So anyways, there are 5 tracks on the album. It's very pastoral, this album. Lots of acoustic parts. Lots of woodwind instrumentation here. There are some mellotron on this, I believe, and some synthesizers also, and some piano. So there's lots of different instrumentation on this album. It is a concept album from my understanding. It of course came out in 1975, so that would be almost right at the height or right in the time period when Quebec, or Quebec if you prefer, was planning to separate from the rest of Canada. So there was a lot of this separation talk going on, and so I think this album is about that. All the vocals on this are in French, so if your French is not that good, you'll have a hard time understanding it. I can follow bits and pieces of it. I'm not bilingual in French, I don't think, mostly because of my lack of abilities when I was younger to do anything school oriented, but not because of my lack of appreciation for the French, which I have plenty of. Okay, so there are, like I said, 5 tracks on the album. The first 4 are relatively normal in length, ranging from about 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, up to about 8 or 9 minutes. And then the final track, which is a good 15 to 16 minutes in length with subparts in it. So I'll try to give you a bit of a breakdown of it. The last song is the song that I like the best. It's the longer song with 5 parts in it, but the song is well put together. So even if you can't understand the vocal parts, you can definitely appreciate the vocal parts, and you will be able to appreciate the musicality of this album. It's definitely one of the better pastoral albums, if not the best one I've heard. Okay, so the first song is called Vert, which is very pastoral, has a little bit of a keyboard synthesizer part. The vocals are very frontal, as is the synthesizer keyboard part once it comes into play. The vocals are softer though, not even though they're frontal, they're not dominating, but just well done, but softer in nature. There's a flute, or perhaps it's a keyboard instrument here being played, but I do believe it's a flute. Really well done album. I like this song quite a bit. In fact, there are no bad songs on this album. I like them all. The second song is Dixie. This one's a bit different from the rest of the songs on the album. It does have an acoustic guitar opening. It does have some very kind of soft or pastoral type vocal sets to it. Definitely those things. But also there's a bit of Winwood instruments, and they're quite catchy. And during the process of the Winwood instruments, you will also get some piano thrown in there with as well. It's a very, very Dixieland style song, hence the name Dixie. But yeah, it has that kind of that feel of a Dixieland song. I like it quite a bit. It's very different. Then we have the song Depuis l'Automne. I think that's what it is. Or Ottoman. Ottoman. L'Automne. Anyways. Synthesizer opening, very mellow and pastoral song. Very atmospheric keyboard part. And some acoustic bits filling in with the keyboard part. It's a very kind of it's a very good song to just listen there and relax to. An excellent song for that. The next song, Un Plein Face. Acoustic guitar, very folky opening. Some kind of loud vocal parts on this particular track. And then some very pastoral and folky kind of parts that go on for most of the rest of the song. And it's kind of back and forth actually between the two styles, the pastoral guitar and very folky opening, and some loud and a little bit more noisy parts. So they're back and forth between these throughout the entire track. The final track is very well put together. I can tell the writing is very good on this. My French isn't very good. However, by listening, I can tell that they're telling the story in very good detail. So this song is called Historia Sun Parle. I believe that's how it's pronounced. The 5 parts in it are Soma, Appeal, La Raconte, La Union, Le Grand Bal. Now, I don't know if any of those are pronounced right. I'm just reading them as I see them. Okay. It opens with a kind of guitar. No, it kind of opens with seagulls and water. It feels like you're on the shoreline. That's how the song opens. Then it gradually goes into an acoustic guitar and flute bit that lasts a fair bit of time, maybe a minute or so. And then it gets very atmospheric synthesizers just build up and they take over. And then it goes back to the more acoustic guitar accompanied with a I will say a piano, very pastoral piano, though not like the Dixieland one that they used in Dixie. Okay, so then it goes from that to it gets quiet again. And then there's some piano and the instruments and instrumental parts. So little bits of instrumental parts with the piano, and it's very quiet and pastoral, and it goes on for a fair lengthy time. Then some more synthesizers and piano parts. The piano parts growing up a bit, and then more piano with more dominant kind of a feel to it, and the vocals become more dominant as well. Then you're back to the kind of shoreline where you're hearing the water and the gulls and the waves, and then there's a synthesizer part that kind of comes into this part. I think the last instrument is an organ that they play with the piano part mixed in with it. It's overall, it's very pastoral, this song, but it does have heavy parts during it, and most of that is keyboard and synthesizer, which I'm guessing the keyboard is probably mellotron. There is some mellotron on this song for sure. So it's a pretty nice listening to. Very almost in its content, maybe not, but in its sound, maybe not as well, but in its intent, definitely sounds Floydish. I don't feel like I'm listening to Floyd, but it's within that kind of almost Adam Hart Mother kind of quiet feeling to it, you know. It's an excellent album. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's an album I will definitely look for. I believe this group has made several albums. I had heard of them before, but I had not pursued it because they were French, and back in the day, I was not willing to turn the bus over to get to these kind of things. But now, definitely a must-have album, I think. For the kind of music it is, which is progressive, pastoral type of folk music, it's got to be one of the best I've heard, for sure. So anyways, that was my favorite track as well. I gave that one a 7, and that's for Ben's sake. So I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. We'll be back next Sunday with another album from Ben's album challenge, and I hope you have a good evening, and we will see you again next week. So take care. Bye.